Om Nirupam Atisukshmam Nisprapancham Niriham Gagana Sadrishamisham Sarvabhutadivasam Trigunarahita Satchit Brahmarupam Varenyam Bimala Paramahangsam Ramakrishnan Bhajama. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We worship the stainless Paramahansa Sri Ramakrishna. Beyond comparison, the subtlest of the subtle, transcendent, desireless, infinite as the sky, the Lord and ground of all beings, the Venerable Supreme Brahman, the embodiment of existence and knowledge, and beyond the three gunas, we salute Sri Ramakrishna again and again. Om peace, peace, peace be unto us all. We are very fortunate today to have Swami Balabhadrananda ji, the Assistant General Secretary of the whole Ramakrishna Modern Mission, and also Swami Tyagananda ji is from Boston. So today I will first introduce Swami Tyagananda, and then she will be having the first speaker, and then Swami Balabhadrananda ji will be speaking next. So Swami Tyagananda, you know, she has come here several times, the head of the Boston Center. It's a long time, so I need not have to introduce him much because he is more than 20 years there, no? 25 years, so in the West. But still to say, he was initiated in 1976 with our revered Bireshwarananda ji Maharaj, joined in the same year, and sannyas was in 96. He was in Bombay Center, Mumbai for 4 years, and then in training center, of course, 2 years. Then he had been in Delhi Center, and he was in Chennai. He was the editor of our English journal, Vedanta Kesari, and he worked there for 11 years. And then he joined in Boston, 1998, and he became the head of the center, Boston Center, in 2002, after the passing away of our revered Swami Sarvagatananda ji. Boston, and he is the chaplain of MIT and Harvard, that is two prestigious institution, and he contributes so much for propagating the Vedanta movement. He will be speaking today, and we are happy to have him. Just he came here and we get the advantage of hearing from the Swamis. So Swami will be speaking today, bring God home. Bring God home. Welcome, Swami.
Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Aviravirma Maketi Rudrayatte Takshinam Mukham Tenamam Pahi Nityam. May the divine lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the divine consciousness fill our hearts and protect us. So today's title, Bringing God Home, is inspired by the idea that only when we bring someone home, that person becomes real to us. You might have seen people over Zoom, you might have seen them over YouTube, and that has some kind of we call it a virtual reality. But only when somebody comes home and you feed them and talk to them, and then somehow they become very real in our lives. And that's how the term that often gets used in Vedanta about God realization. So what does realization really mean? And there are any number of ways that term can be explained. The one way that I personally like very much is just the word real in realization. That when God becomes real to me, not simply someone, some photograph or some image on the altar, but a real living presence, that would be a pretty close step to what is represented by the phrase God realization. And so, as Sri Ramakrishna often pointed out, the heart is the best place where, while God is everywhere, it is easier to feel the presence of the divine in our own hearts. And that's essentially what we all try to do. Through our practice of prayer, our meditation, we try to see the divine here. We are trying to, we don't always succeed. We try to think about the divine, but we'll be able to actually see the divine in our heart when we have succeeded in bringing God truly to our home here. And this idea about bringing God home is brought out in a beautiful story associated with a temple in northern India, a place that many of you may have visited or heard about. It's Vrindavan. It's a place associated with the life of Krishna. And there is a temple there called Banke Bihari temple. Sri Ramakrishna had visited it, Holy Mother had gone there, and it's a very ancient temple. And that temple is a little bit unusual compared to other Hindu temples you might have visited. And the specialty of that temple is that there is a curtain which separates the altar from the prayer hall, from where the people can have darshan. And that curtain, throughout the day, is being opened and closed, opened and closed. So they open it, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and they close it again. And then you wait for the curtain to open again, and then you again. So every time the curtain is closed, of course, you cannot see Krishna, who is on the altar there. Krishna is there in the form of a little child. And when the curtain is open, then you get to have darshan. Now, it would be natural to ask, why would this unusual practice began in that temple? And a story is told of why that happened and how that happened. It seems that when that temple started, it was just like any other temple, nothing very different from it. As many of the Hindu temples have, just outside the temple, there were many vendors selling flowers and garlands so that when pilgrims came, they could get the flowers from there and make an offering inside the temple. And again, as many of you are familiar, that it's not always, not in every temple, can you go straight to the altar and make the offering yourself. Usually there'll be some priest, and you bring your offering, hand it over to the priest, and the priest then hands it or offers it on behalf of the pilgrim who brought it. And same was true there as well. And so there were a lot of these garland sellers and flowers and so on, and people would bring flowers, garlands, hand it over to the priest would go and garland the deity. Now, among those people who were selling the flowers and garlands, there was one young girl. She was barely 9 or 10 years old. She was an orphan. Her parents used to make garland before, and both her parents had died. And so she then took up what was their family profession. She started making the garlands herself and then selling it outside that temple. Now, that temple, for their regular services, needed 10 garlands every day for the different worship at different hours of the day. And so they gave a contract to this girl that if you supply 10 garlands every day, we will pay you regularly. And so that was a good revenue for that girl. Now, she herself was a great devotee of Krishna. And it was a great desire of her heart to go and garland Krishna herself. Obviously, that was not possible. And so she hoped that one day she would be able to do it. So what she did instead, that while she was expected to supply 10 garlands every day, she would supply 11 garlands. The 11th one was her own personal offering. And her hope was that one day these priests will observe an extra garland and ask her, we are only paying you for 10. Why are you giving 11? And then I'll tell them, I have a desire. Can I go one day and garland the deity? And maybe they might have some compassion on me. They might make an exception in my case. And they might allow me to go and garland the deity. And so she kept on giving that extra garland for days passed, weeks passed, months passed. Nothing. The priest didn't even notice an extra garland. And so this girl was terribly sad. And one day her heart became so overwhelmed with sorrow that she went inside the prayer hall. She stood before the deity and she cried her heart out. And she said, I've been giving, and she looked at Krishna on the altar and she said, I have been supplying this extra garland for months now. And yes, these priests didn't notice it. They are human beings. They are fallible. They make mistakes. But Lord Krishna, you know everything. You have been seeing me give this extra garland. Can't you do something about it? And then she heard a voice. Just imagine how lucky to hear the voice of the Lord. And Krishna said to her, of course I've noticed that you're giving that extra garland. Of course I know it. And then she says, well, why don't you do something about it? And Krishna says, I'm not as free as you think. And she said, you're the Lord of the universe. You created this world. Everything happens according to your will. And now you want me to believe that you're not free? He said, yeah, that's a kind of a paradox. Now, as long as I'm inside the temple here, these priests decide when I should go to sleep, when I should wake up, when I should eat, how much I should eat. I'm not free. And she was like puzzled. Then Krishna said, but don't worry, I have a plan for you. Come at night. Come after the temple is closed, after the priests have gone home, you come and then you can garland me and you can worship me. You have complete freedom. And then she said, but at night the temple will be locked. And Krishna said, don't worry, I'll take care of that. You get all your puja stuff and you come at night. So this girl was so happy. She went home, she built the best, the freshest flowers she got. It was an exquisite garland she made. She got all the puja items, she prepared some delicious sweets. And in one basket, putting all these puja things, and it was dark, it was pre-electricity days, so in the other hand she got the lantern, and then she came at night. The temple there was complete darkness. The village was a little bit away. People had all returned home. There was nobody there. She just touched the door, and the door opened. And she went inside. And then, of course, the door to the sanctum opened, and she was so happy. She was able to see Krishna face to face, standing so near. And she said, I want to now garland you. I want to begin the puja right away. And Krishna said, wait a minute, there's a little bit of a problem now. He said, you brought this lantern, of course. You need light to be able to do all these things. What if the villagers see this light in the temple and think that some thieves have come? So it's not safe to do puja here. Why don't we go to your home, to your place? And there it will be much safer. And so he said, okay, you lead the way, I'll follow you. So she led the way, and she lived a little bit on the outskirts of the town. So she took him, she had one small little cottage. She took him there, and he sat on a bed, and Krishna said, lock all the doors and windows. And he said, now you can worship me as much as you want. So she was about to start the worship, and Krishna said, wait a minute, there's one other little problem. And he said, this temple opens at 5 o'clock next morning, and I have to be back before that time. If the pujari comes and finds I'm not there, there's going to be a big problem. And when I'm with my devotees, I generally forget. I don't have any sense of time. So you better keep one eye on the clock to make sure that I'm back in the temple at the right time. And then she said, well, I'll try, and you please also help me. And they kind of decided that they will try to be mindful of the time. And then Krishna said, okay, now you can worship me. And of course, then the way The puja is often done. She washed his feet, she applied sandal paste, she garlanded him, she sang songs, she fed him with the sweet she had prepared. They had a wonderful time. Of course, as you can guess, they both forgot to see the clock. Suddenly, they heard a loud knocking on the door. And it was the priests had come. Open the door, open the door. And she's just a little girl, she's just 10 years old. And so she told Krishna, I'm afraid, you open the door. And Krishna says, it's your home, you got to open the door. And so, of course, so she went and opened the door, and then the priest barged in. And of course, Krishna, the little image, had fallen reclining on the bed. And the priest said, where is the Krishna's image? And here he is. You stole him. You took him away from there. And she said, no, I didn't take him. He himself said, come at night. He himself came after me. And then the priest said, yeah. You want us to believe that he came with you and you heard him? The priest said, I've been worshipping there for the last 15 years. He has not so much as winked at me. and you expect to believe that he came all the way? And she said, please, I'm telling the truth. But anyway, there wasn't much time to be lost, because if the Mangalarti, the first opening, would be delayed, the villagers would come to know that the image was stolen. There would be a big scandal. So the head priest told these assistants, now, I will take care of the rest. You take this image, go right away. Nobody in the village knows that this has happened. You install the image, start your puja, and everything will be fine. No one need to know what happened. And so these assistants took the image, and then this head priest, was a little wiser person, he kind of quickly figured out the image was just too heavy for this little 10-year-old girl to carry. So he tended to believe she might be telling the truth. Something like that may have happened. And so he told the girl, now, I want you to leave this place and never again to come here. I don't want to see you here again. Otherwise, I'm going to hand you over to the cops. And so the poor little girl was terrified. She took her few belongings. She left the village. No one ever heard from her again. And then this priest came back. No one in the village came to know what had happened. Now, that afternoon, these priests sat for a meeting. And then the head priest told his assistants, I tend to believe what that girl says. The Lord is compassionate. If we pray deeply from our heart, God will respond to that call. So I truly believe that Krishna was so charmed, so moved by her devotion that he actually went to her home. Now, the other problem was, okay, that girl is now gone away, but there is no guarantee that some other devotee might come someday and pray with an equal ardor, and maybe the devotees from Hollywood go and pray there and such. And what if now Krishna goes away to Hollywood? Where are these poor people in Vrindavan going to search for him? And we've got to do something about it. And so then they came up with this brilliant idea. We are going to put a curtain separating Krishna from the devotees. And so when this large throng of devotees gather in front, we'll open the curtain. All that Krishna will see is a huge crowd of people in front. And the moment he begins to kind of zero in on someone to hear their prayer, we're going to close the curtain again. So the whole point was to prevent Krishna from running away. So that is the story that is often told about why this kind of a strange custom began in that Krishna temple. Now, interesting and kind of cute as this story is, we can still ask, what message does it have for me? Does it have any message for me in my own personal spiritual life? And it may be possible to look at it this way. When we are often told, meditate on the divine in your heart, and then we close our eyes, we try to sit in a quiet place, we try to shut out our senses, and we try to look inside. And beginning, most of us see nothing. The darkness, if anything. Now, what does that darkness represent? It's possible to see that that darkness is the curtain is closed. That God, my Ishta, my chosen ideal, is there in my heart. I'm not seeing that chosen ideal, not because God is not there, but because the curtain is closed. So all that I need to do is, like that little girl, if I pray, not just a mechanical prayer read from a book, something that comes truly from my heart, something that is natural, something that is effortless, that is filled with love, filled with devotion, Shraddha, as they say in Sanskrit. If I pray, then through the compassion of the divine, through the grace of the divine, the curtain might open. And many who have practiced, done their spiritual practices with regularity, with faith, with sincerity, have found that the curtain does open. And it might open for a fraction of a second. But even that littlest of the glimpse that we get, that's already a great thing. Because then we can never again doubt the presence of the divine in the heart. In the beginning, we might say, well, how can this infinite divine fit into this so-called apparently little space here? But once that curtain opens, even a little bit, we'll never, ever again doubt that again. But of course, the curtain will close again. Then we keep on praying. We keep on doing our japa, our meditation. We never know again when it'll open the second time. Maybe a few days, few weeks, few months, God forbid, maybe a few years. But a true spiritual seeker never, ever gives up hope. And then suddenly the curtain opens again. And then it closes again. This will be the story of our spiritual life going forward. With time, with greater spiritual maturity, with greater faith, we will find that the curtain will open more frequently. It will stay open for a longer period, and then it will close again. The person in whose heart that curtain has been removed forever, that is the person we say is a Jivan Mukta, is an enlightened being. But for the time being, all of us have to do is to recognize that just because I don't see the divine in our heart doesn't mean the divine is not there. The divine is there, but the curtain is closed. All that I need to do is to have that curtain open. That will be the time we would have truly brought God to our own home. So my prayers to Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, Swami Vivekananda, and all the great prophets of the past, present, and future, that through their infinite grace, may that curtain open in the hearts of all of us now and forever. Thank you.
Oh my God, you finished quickly. That's a wonderful way of hearing now, how to open our heart and the curtain to drop out. It's a great analogy. Now, it is our good fortune, we can say, or good opportunity that we got Swami Balabhadrananda ji here, and he is going to the World Parliament of Religions to represent there. And Swami is the Assistant General Secretary of the whole Ramakrishna Math and Mission. And that means the worldwide organization this Ramakrishna Mission stands for, those who actually monitor and try to guide the whole Sangha. He is one of them, one of the part of that big part of that management. So the Swami, just to say a few words, Swami joined this Ramakrishna order of monks in the Institute of Culture, Gol Park in Kolkata in 1976. And then he had his sannyas in 1986. And in the Institute of Culture, about 3 decades, till 2005, he was looking after the publication department and the youth affairs of the institute. and he became the in charge of one of our great educational institution, Asansol, in 2005, and then he was elected as a trustee of Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission's governing body. And then naturally he had to move to the headquarters of our, which is in Belur Math, and then he became the assistant secretary to assist the whole management. We are very happy. He's a wonderful sadhu, and he has his great connection with Swami Lokeshwarananda ji for a long period of time, and great influence of that great Swami on his life. And that is, we can see through his personality and his sweet nature and loving nature. And administration is not so easy, as we all know. But to be there and to be keeping that type of mental peace is a great thing. Anyhow, so here his topic is today the spirituality practiced in the Ramakrishna. Sorry. This topic will be serving the living gods. Serving the living gods, which is the foundation of our Ramakrishna movement and ideas how we work. So, as we have a little time with you, so he will be able to put question and answer after his talk, but we'll give it a gap of 10 minutes time to stretch yourself and come back, and then QA will continue after that his speech, and then we'll have prasad for all of you. Okay. Swami.
We can look at musical chairs.
As I was listening to Tyaganandaji's lecture, I felt that nobody puts that screen between me and my beloved God. I myself put that screen. And all our spiritual practices, as advised by our spiritual preceptor, not only all our spiritual practices, whatever we do or think throughout the day, throughout our life, all goes to either making the screen more transparent or more thicker. And the topic I am going to discuss, serving the living God, is but one of the means to dispel that screen, to see through that skin, so that I may be face to face with my beloved God. I offer my salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, Sharoda Devi, Swami Vivekananda, Swami Brahmananda ji, and to all the prophets of world's religions. My respectful pronouns and regards to Swami Sarvadevananda ji Maharaj, regards to Swami Tyagananda ji Maharaj, all the monks and nuns present here, and the same I convey to you also, the learned members of the audience. Swami Vivekananda once wrote to Mrs. Mary Hill, I am worshipper of that God. We are servants of that God, whom the ignorant call man. To Mary Hill? Whom the ignorant call man. And my special objects of worship is the God, the wicked, is God the sinner, God the poor of all races and countries. May I be born again and again to serve this God only. In 1900, Swami Vivekananda wrote a pretty long poem for the Bengali monthly journal Udbodhan, which he himself started. The title of the poem is Shakhar Prati. In English, it has been translated as probably to a friend, to a friend. The last few lines of this poem contain that idea of serving the living God. In Bengal at least, to anybody, almost any educated one, if you, even if he or she has not read almost anything about Swami Vivekananda, if you ask about what is Swami Vivekananda's message, he will quote this poem. This line from the poem, Jive prem kore jeijon, seijon seviche ishwar. That 4 lines are this, Bohu rupe sommukhe tomar, chhari kotha khujiche ishwar, jive prem kore jeijon, seijon seviche ishwar. God is present before you in various human forms, living those valid living forms of God. Where else you are looking for God? One who loves and serves human beings serves God indeed. As this poem got published in 1900, in an issue of the Bengali journal Udbodhan, reading this, 3 young men in Varanasi became so inspired that from the very next day, they started serving some poor widows who would be at that time seen lying on the streets of Varanasi. And gradually, more people joined, and soon an institution came up named Home of the Poor. And they started with a capital of 4 annas only. 4 anna means 1/4 of Indian rupee. So with that meager capital, they started to serve the poor, and an institution came up, Poor Man's Home. And Swamiji, for the last time he visited Varanasi in 1902, he was then very pleased by seeing that dedicated services of those young men. They themselves were poor, but they are doing that service. He was very pleased. He blessed them profusely and named that institution. It was Home for the Poor. He changed that name to Home of Service. Now Ramakrishna Mission Home of Service now is one of our renowned hospital run by Ramakrishna Mission. It has 230 beds. Of these 230 beds, about 190 beds are kept reserved for the poor. They get this facility free whenever required. Importance of service or seva is actually ingrained in Indian ethos and Hinduism. We believe that service is to be offered not only at physical level, but also at mental, intellectual, and spiritual levels. Our goal is to show means so that they can have atyantiko dukkho nivritti. All sorts of sorrows are eternally removed. That avenue, that means we have to offer guidance regarding that, but not ignoring the lower level of sufferings. One who is hungry surely will help them to satisfy his or her hunger, but ultimately the roadmap will be always clear. Gradually we lead them, our services will be such that gradually we will lead them to the ultimate goal of total abolition of sufferings, and that can be done only by spiritual knowledge. So spiritual service is the highest kind of service that should be given. But before that, we have to offer service at lower levels also. And how to offer your service? How to offer your service, what kind of service you have to give, that is important, sure. Somebody is hungry and somebody is ignorant, uneducated. So what kind of service you will give to whom, that is important, no doubt. But also very much important, how you are offering your services. So that is also specific, regarding that also specific guidances are there in our scriptures. In Taittiriya Upanishad it is there, Shraddhaya Deyam, Asraddhaya Adeyam, Shriya Deyam, Priya Deyam, Bhiya Deyam, Sangvida Deyam, Shraddhaya Deyam. You serve. If you serve, you have to serve with respect. If you don't have respect for the one whom you are going to serve, better not to serve. So whenever you will serve somebody, you have to serve with respect. Shriya Deyam. With an open good heart, you will joyfully you will have to offer it. With open heart, free mind, you have to serve with. Shriya Deyam. You have to serve with modesty. With modesty means you should not have any ego. You should not have any show off that I am doing such a great thing. So with modesty you have to serve. Bhiya Deyam. You have to serve with the sense of awe. Why should you? This sense of awe should be there. It is because that you have to be careful that while you are giving your service, you are not hurting his dignity. That will not be service. So the attitude of service is very important. And Sangvida Deyam. You should not falter. You should not hesitate. Once you have resolved to serve, you should complete it. So this is very important. What you are going to serve, that is important. Probably more than that, or more than what is important for the spiritual benefit of yourself, spiritual elevation of yourself, is how you are serving, with what mind you are serving. And we got our idea of service from Sri Ramakrishna. There is a wrong notions about among some of us that Sri Ramakrishna was engaged in. Sri Ramakrishna was more for contemplation, japa, meditation, etc. And it is Swami Vivekananda who introduced all sorts of services, work, etc. In our Ramakrishna order. But it is just the opposite. We know that once Sri Ramakrishna asked Swami Vivekananda, what do you want from me? Then Swami Vivekananda said that I want that I will be immersed in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, supreme state of meditation for continuously for a long period. And sometimes, it would have been good if I could have ever immersed in Samadhi, but that way I cannot carry on my body, so I have to sometimes come down to the normal plane. Then I will take something, some food, and again I will go back to Samadhi. And you see, this is the ultimate goal of Vedanta, that you attain Nirvikalpa Samadhi and be immersed in that. So a guru of Vedanta should have been very happy that he is also a competent guru, and he knows that his disciple also is a competent one, very competent one. So he should have been happy that his disciple wants to be immersed in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, but he was not happy. He said, I did not expect such a mean-mindedness from you. You see, this is probably the only example when somebody says that Nirvikalpa Samadhi is a lower thing. only example perhaps. Then he said, there is a still higher plane, spiritual level than Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Don't you sing that song? Jo kuch hai so tu hi hai. Whatever is existing is nothing but you only, God. Don't you see? That is the truth. You come. This is Jnane for a big gun. As Sri Ramakrishna repeatedly said, a big gun comes after Jnane. Big gun comes after Jnane. Jnana means you have realized God in the realized that Supreme Self in the innermost recess of your heart. But after, with your open eyes, you can see that the same God whom you have seen in the enormous recesses of your everywhere. Sri Ramakrishna gives this example. That suppose terrace is your goal, roof is your goal. At that time you have to proceed towards roof only. That is, you should be focused on the roof only. So leaving the stairs one by one, you are going there. You have reached the stairs, reached the terrace, and after that you are again coming down. Suppose on the seventh stair where you were before reaching the terrace, at that time your idea of the things around your house is not the same. When you come back from the terrace, you have now had seen from the terrace which things you can see from there, how far you can see. So you have again come down on the seventh terrace, it is there in the Gospel. Your experience is not the same. Though you are staying at the seventh terrace, that same terrace itself, same stair itself, but your experience now is not the same. You now know what is visible from the roof. You now know that any moment you can go there. So this is, with this big understanding, everything, every being is God. Sri Ramakrishna said that you stay there, like you go to Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and with the knowledge of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Sharadanji says, with the memory of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, yes. Those who had attained Nirvikalpa Samadhi, he stays in this world with the memory of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and any moment he can go back there. That is why Swami Brahmananda says, real spiritual life begins after Nirvikalpa Samadhi. This is the beauty of Ramakrishna way of handling Vedanta. This is not the same Vedanta. It is even more. In this, it is more comprehensive. So, Sri Ramakrishna said this. Sri Ramakrishna said this to Narendra, and he said, he dragged down Narendra's mind, which was soaring towards Nirvikalpa Samadhi forever, to the sufferings of humanity. You have to be like a big banyan tree, and the people suffering everywhere, suffering men and women will come under your shade to console them. So for solace, like that. So this, and we also know that Shiva, Jnane, Jiva, Seva, that was uttered in presence of Swami Vivekananda, then Narendranath and Dakshineshwar. Sri Ramakrishna, very often he will be in the supreme flights of spiritual ecstasy, and at that moment, profound spiritual truths will fall from his lips. So one day he was talking about the basic tenets of Vaishnavism. Name Ruchi, you should have great devotion and taste for repeating God's name. Vaishnava Pujan, you should have to serve the sadhus or the devotees. And then Sri Ramakrishna says, Jive Daya, compassion for living beings. As he uttered compassion for Jive Daya or compassion for living beings, he corrected himself. You are such a small creature. Who are you to show compassion to living beings? It is not compassion for jivas. It is Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva. You have to serve living beings, looking upon them as living gods. Everybody heard it. Probably aim also, the chronicle of Gospel, aim also probably was present there, but nobody could understand that there is something very special in what Sri Ramakrishna uttered. But Narendranath came out and said that what a wonderful light today I found in what the Master said. So far, we used to believe, everybody used to believe, that if you want to realize God, if you want to follow the path of spirituality and realize God, the first thing you have to do, that you have to be heartless. You love so many people, those loves are all Maya, so you have to cut those love, etc. But now, what I heard from Sri Ramakrishna today, I realized that all these things are not necessary. What is required, you love. Whoever you are loving, you love. But only thing that your object of love and your object of spiritual practice is the same entity, same God. The God you are trying to see in meditation, the same God is drawing your heart as your near and dear ones. So change your outlook. Try to see your near and dear ones whom you love as that living God. So he got it. This we call the religion of the age. Swami Vivekananda came to America, and at that time, once he was giving spiritual lessons he did it in Thousand Island Park, and at that time he was giving it in Camp Irving near Camp Taylor. It is there in the Reminiscences of Ida Ansel. So every day in the morning or some stipulated hour, he would give, it was meditation hour. They will all gather around Swami Vivekananda and they will practice meditation. So one day, Swamiji found that one of his students are missing. Ida Ansel is missing. So he looked for her and found that she was busy cooking something for the others in the camp. Then he was about to call her from a distance, but he went near her and looking over the shoulder, he said, "My master used to say, you can sacrifice meditation for service." This we should keep in mind. You see, Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva. This phrase, when I first heard, I could not understand that very clearly. It seemed a little difficult for me. In Gospel, the same idea is there. Sri Ramakrishna, and the expression is also a bit easier, much easier. Sri Ramakrishna says that you worship God in clay image. Cannot you worship God in living human being? প্রতিমাতে ভগবানের পুজো হয়, জীবন্ত মানুষে কি ভগবানের পুজো হয় না? Much easier expression, but this is the difference between Swami Vivekananda and M. We are not belittling a gospel, but Sri Ramakrishna brought Swami Vivekananda only to interpret. That was given to, that was entrusted to Swami Vivekananda only, not any of his disciples, to interpret himself. I mean, Sri Ramakrishna's message or Sri Ramakrishna's life. Once Swami Vivekananda himself said to Sister Nivedita, it is there in the Master as I saw him, that Sri Ramakrishna did not understand how great he was. He was that wonderful unconscious life. He lived a God-centric life and left it for me to interpret. So we find that, you see, it is though it is there in Gospel, M could not see the Yuga Dharma or the religion of the age in that saying, but Swami Vivekananda could. And Swami Vivekananda said that if time is ever propitious, then I will spread this message everywhere. And he did it immediately after returning to India from the West in 1897. On 26 January, he set his foot on Indian soil, and the next day, 27th January, he visited the Shiva temple of Rameshwar. And there he said that there are two kinds of worshipper of Shiva. One kind of worshipper, they worship Shiva only in the temple, in the idol. And another kind of worshipper, they worship Shiva, they worship Shiva in the temple also, but more than that, they worship Shiva in living human beings. Then Shiva will be pleased more with the second kind of worshippers who find Shiva not only in the temple, but also in the human beings. So, and Trigunatītanandaji, we know that Thakur Stigaratandi said once, we know that Sri Ramakrishna says that if you can weep genuinely for 3 days for God, then God will be level to you. And Turiyanandaji used to say, if only for 3 days you can serve human beings in a genuine spirit of serving God, you will realize God. Swami Premanandaji Maharaj, when he will speak, he will speak not on God, not on devotion much. He will speak on on this aspect that you have to serve God through service. You have to serve human being. Yes, you serve God in your temple, but more than that, you serve God in human beings. He went to Malda once, and he's talking about all these things, service. At that time, the people are not accustomed to monk talking about service. That one gentleman was living just in front of him. He was interrupting repeatedly. We came to hear about love and devotion. আমরা একটু প্রেম ভক্তির কথা শুনতে এসেছিলাম. We came to hear a little about love and devotion. So, first, Swami Premanandaji ignored and went on speaking. Then Swami Premanandaji turned to him. Yes, I also want to talk about love and devotion to God. But are you ready for that? You are so impure. Most of you are so impure. At this stage, you cannot go straight to, you cannot have devotion at this stage, the real devotion and real love of God. At this stage, you cannot have this. So you have to start with this. In this modern age, in this present age, this is the religion, what Swami Vivekananda has said. You serve human being as living God. Once a relief activities was going on in a village in West Bengal. And a team of sadhus have gone there. One brahmachari is the leader of the team. For 6 months or more, the relief activities are going on. Baburam Maharaj Ji, Swami Premananda Ji has visited that place for several times. And he is in touch with the leader of the relief team regularly. So the brahmachari who is in charge of the team, he has written to Baburam Maharaj, everything is well. We are happy that we are in a very organized manner, we are conducting our relief work. But one thing I miss very much, that is the Belur Math, the environment of Belur Math. Sri Ramakrishna is there, Sri Ramakrishna is vividly present there, and his apostles like you are vividly, you are also there. So I very much miss that. So I am waiting when all these things will be over and I will be back to Belur Math. Then what Baburam Maharaj, Swami Premanandaji wrote, by the good fortune of many a birth, you have found refuge in this holy order named after Sri Ramakrishna. If you still find a distinction between the service of man and worship of God, I must say that you are still standing far away from all the spiritual luminaries, right from Buddha to Vivekananda. Swami Premanandaji says that. In Kolkata, we have a good hospital, old hospitals. Probably it has completed its 100 years. Ramakrishna Mission Seva Pratishthan. It was founded by one very respected monk, Swami Dayananda Ji. He was younger brother of Swami Madhavananda Ji, who was our president. Both the brothers were initiated by Holy Mother. So he founded this hospital and he was secretary for long. And every day in the evening, he will go around the hospital, visiting the wards, talking with devotee patients and inquiring about what is needed. And immediately after coming, maybe for 1 hour, he will go around, and immediately after coming from the hospital, without changing his clothes, he will sit for meditation. And he will be absorbed in meditation, maybe for 1 hour or 1.5 hours. So one young brahmachari, a young sadhu, he was noticing that. And he did not like it, that straight from hospital he is coming and he is not sprinkling even Ganga water on him. He is not changing clothes and he is sitting for meditation, and his ashan, fixed ashan is there, maybe on that ashan, sitting on that ashan, he is doing meditation. One day he asked, Maharaj, why don't you sprinkle a little Ganga water on yourself? If you think that you cannot change the clothes, if you had changed the clothes, that would have been better, but at least you could sprinkle a little Ganga water on yourself. Then Dayanandaji asked, before going to temple, when do you sprinkle Ganga water on yourself? To purify yourself before going to temple or after visiting temple? He said that before going to temple, well, yes. I also, then you don't sprinkle water on yourself after we have visited the temple. Yes, why should I? Well, I am also doing that. I am also doing that. I am visiting wards, that when I am visiting temple, there are living gods are there. So this is the attitude. This we can do. This we have to do. Living gods means that is the truth. Serving the living God, yes, serving the living God, yes. First is required, we have to see living God. We have to see God in every being around us. That is the truth. Truth is such that whether you understand or not, whether you can perceive it or not, it is truth. If at this very moment, any one of us realize the ultimate truth of Upanishads, will find this only. Everywhere is Brahman only, everywhere is God only. So, from the very beginning, we take this truth. So, we look upon divinity everywhere. First, we have to look upon divinity. We are immersed in the ocean of God, actually. This is the truth. Whether you understand or not, we are immersed in the ocean of God. I am also God, and everywhere is God. So, God is there, we only have to see where God is there. So first we have to perceive living God, not that anybody is suffering, only in Him God is there. Everybody whom we are interacting with is God. Swami Vivekananda said that in his speech on seeing God in everywhere, Swami Vivekananda said that you have never seen anything other than God. You have always interacted with God only. With only this difference that God you took for animal, man, this chair, table, etc. From now on, you changed your way of looking at the world. Take a deified outlook on this world. So if we can do that Swamiji said, this is the renunciation. This is true renunciation. Swami Vivekananda said that, about India, that India's national ideal is renunciation and service. If India can be channelized in that direction, India will be regenerated. It is not India's ideal. It is ideal for entire humanity, renunciation and service, sacrifice and service. And renunciation means to see God around us. That is the truth. See God around us. Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmanne vonupashyati. Sarva bhuteshu cha atmanam. That is the ultimate realization. So from the very beginning, we start that. We try to see that. So as we'll see, as we'll be able to see God in others, looking upon others as God, we can awaken the God within us. So this is the, main thing, main speciality, main characteristic of the Ramakrishna mission. Swami Vivekananda says in Karma Yoga that most people, they work with a motive. They cannot help it. Without a motive, mostly people cannot imagine doing any work. But in every country, there are very few people are there. Some people are always found in every country, in every age, who can work without motive. Swamiji says they are the salt of the earth. Then Swamiji says there is still a higher kind of people who not only do work without any motive, but they work for the good of others. And if you can work for 5 minutes for the good of others without no motive of your own, if your only motive is to serve others or do good to others, if you can do if you can offer service or if you can do work with this attitude only for 5 minutes, then you will know that you have in you the potentiality of great spiritual giants who have in the past moved the entire world. So you see, I think each one of us have that potentiality, because there is probably no one who has not in his life for 5 minutes has not done any good work without any motive, any good work, I mean anything to help others without any motive. So this is a great hope for us. This is there are many things, many paths to reach the ultimate goal, but most suitable in this age is this, to serve people. And while serving others, we have to remind ourselves that I am God, and whom I am serving, he is also God, he or she also is God. And as I will go on serving others, looking upon them as living God, the inherent God, inherent divinity in me will gradually come to fore. So let us have Shraddha in this message of our order, our Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda, and Raja Maharaj also is to advise the new monks as a formula. He used to put this, that meditate, 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 and serve his creatures. Meditation is required. Meditation is required, regular spiritual practice is required, so that this idea remain always, clear in our mind, that whom I am serving is living God only. So these two should go. Swami Ranganathanji says wonderfully that what is the sign? How will you know that you are growing spiritually? These are the signs, Ranganathanji says. Do you feel joy from within? Are you at peace with yourself? Can you radiate that peace around you? Then you are growing spiritually. This is called spirituality. And how you can achieve that? By working inwardly by meditation, and outwardly by doing work for the good of others, by serving others. So meditation and service, those are the major means. Those are the major means for our spiritual progress. And the idea behind this will be this. I am meditating on God. Ranganathanji used to say that I will meditate with my eyes closed. Whom I am meditating upon with my eyes closed, I will have to see him when I open my eyes, and I will ask, what can I do for you? This is the thing. This way, if we can, progress every day, this way, if we can regulate our meditation session as well as our dealing with others, then surely we'll progress spiritually. With these few words, I conclude. Thank you.
So what a wonderful way of presenting the spiritual practice of this holy order. You are all part of it. So 3 days crying for God can give us this self-realization. And also new thing we have heard today, 3 days selfless work, totally dedicated, thinking that I am serving God, can give us nirvikalpa samadhi. And also it's a new knot we are hearing, but it didn't catch our heart, that nirvikalpa samadhi is the last state of spiritual life. But we hear now, Ramakrishna said, Brahmananda said, that spiritual life begins after nirvikalpa samadhi. Then you can really do service to others, seeing the same divine everywhere. Before, it is a practice, but that is the end result. It's a unique way of thinking. It is a great responsibility for all of us with this message what we got today. And the Swami said that the what is called the screen which is separating us from our divine entity can be cleared, or it can intensity of that, the darkness can go away by practice, and this is the practice what Ramakrishna Vivekananda came to give us, and this is the tradition of the Ramakrishna order, to serve, 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 not serving. And also he quoted how to serve with humility, how to serve with all egolessness, and how to think that I am fortunate to serve, rather on not only seeing God in the temple, but seeing God in everyone. And in our schools, colleges, hospitals, that is the practice going on. So thank you, Swami, for bringing this wonderful idea, again reigniting in our heart, and thank both of the Swamis. Now we'll have some little 10 minutes gap maybe, okay? 10 minutes just to stretch out and come back, and Swami will have question-answer session here. And as soon as the question-answer session ends, then all will have prasad here, and then after that prasad, then you are free to go, and Swami will have to leave for Chicago. And Swami Tyagananda will leave tomorrow early morning, and this Swami will have to go today itself. So thank the Swamis for coming and giving these wonderful spiritual ideas, and thank you all coming, and who are not come but on the online, thanks to them also. But stay on for question answer and make the question very brief and precise and so that this we can enjoy the session of question answer. But prepare your mind while stretching there. Thank you all. Jai Baba.
So we're very glad that you're staying for, and we trust that you have some good questions for our guest Swamis. So let's have them.
This question is for Swami Tyagananda ji, that I think lots of people say that we try to keep that screen open, but almost, especially when we go into the workplace, when we go into our home place, we find that screen just shutting, especially when it gets triggered, when emotions come. So can you talk about, in that time, how to get that screen back, open that screen again?
I don't believe that. Vivekananda, there is that they are putting. Who has the?
Oh, thank you. Hi, namaskar. My question is it wrong to see like a male person as Krishna and a female person as the mother and someone younger than me as a Gopala? Or can I see Krishna in male and female? And my other question is, it's easier to see the God in another person who you love and like, right? But if the person is, if the other person is kind of, is kind of hard to like, or somebody you dislike, I mean, it's hard to see God in that person. So those are my two questions.
How to see God in others who are difficult people.
How to see?
In some people it is easy to see God, in some people it is difficult. So how to see God in everyone? That's the question.
you have to have this basic truth at the back of your mind that every being is God. But your behavior, Sri Ramakrishna gives a nice example that thief is also God and police is also God. So thief is not that type of God, just as a saint is a God or a good person is a God. So if your behavior in the relative world, in the practical world, your behavior will be according to what kind of person he is. If there is a thief comes to your house, then you'll sure contact the police, the God. But you may say that then what is the difference between somebody he is unable to see God in anybody. He is looking after man as man, a thief as thief only, a police as police only, a good man as good man only, bad man as bad man only. And I am seeing a good man as God the good man. I am seeing a bad man as God the good man. What is the difference? Difference will be this, that in case of a bad person, you are dealing with him will not be lower than a certain level. Even with a good person, you will be able to deal with dignity. Even with the bad person, you are dealing with dignity. Even for the bad person, you will be able to pray that he is changed, that he be changed, or good things happen to him. So this is there will be difference. If you practice, this way you have to practice. You have to know that this is the truth. Even if I am not able to see God in good man, but this is the truth that he or she also is God. That belief should be there, and that will help you. The purpose is this, that the divinity, the God that is inherent in you, that should be brought to the surface. So this is a spiritual practice. Just as meditation is a spiritual practice, just as daily reading of a holy book is a spiritual practice, similarly, this attempt, I am telling myself that this man may be mad, but even then there is divinity within him. This is truth. This is not you are saying anything wrong to yourself. As a good idea, you are trying to impress that good idea upon you. It is not that. It is truth. It is the truth. Only that truth is getting expressed in different manner.
Mahatmanji, when Swamiji said stop seeking God, see God, Baburam Maharaj was plunged into absorption. But then when I endeavor to see this table first as God, then the table, no such thing happens to me. My question is, how can I stop seeking God and start seeing Him now itself?
Stop seeking God.
And start seeing God. Swamiji said so.
Stop seeing God.
Start seeing God.
Start seeing God. Everything is divine. You have to tell yourself. You have to tell repeatedly yourself. You have to have firm faith in it. With all conviction you have to tell. First, it will be mere words. You yourself may find it is useless. But gradually, it will settle in you. That will take a form of conviction. And some gradually changes will come in your behavior. And others also, if they are so sensitive, they can also find that change in you, that it is taking place in you.
Conviction is enough.
Conviction is not enough. Conviction, you have to bring it. That is not the last point. After that, you will proceed. After that, you will proceed. But in the relative world, that difference of behavior should be there. With the bad person, you have to defend yourself. That should be there. That should be there.
My question is,
nobody is telling them.
My name is Saint Francis. My question is about service. we know in the real world we are required to perform services which sometimes are not palatable or are not very good. But based on who you are expected to perform certain services. How do we bring God into a service we know is not good?
You are doing a service. Can you equate that with helping others? What you say bad service, what kind of bad service is in your mind, I do not know. But what you are saying that bad service, is it for helping others? By doing that, can you help others? What do you feel? Surely when you are putting this question to me, something is coming in your mind that this kind of service is not good. Service, I do not mean service means any work. Service helping others. Somebody is in need of something, genuine need. A thief also is a robber also is in need of something that nobody detects him. Huh? So helping him so that he can flee, that is not serving. Service means somebody is in need of something and you are providing him. Somebody is suffering. You cannot provide him, at least you can say good words to him. Huh? These are called service. So service cannot be bad. Service, in the sense we are using the word service or the idea service, that cannot be bad ever. Huh?
Thank you.
How to dive deep? Practicing to dive deep. Every day we'll try to dive deeper and deeper and deeper. Nobody will fall from sky. Huh? You have to start it, try it, then only you will grasp it. Religion is being and becoming, Swamiji says. Huh? We proceed from lower truth to higher truth. Never, Swamiji said, we are not proceeding from error to truth, but lower truth to higher truth. It is error from a higher distance, but from a lower distance, it is not. This is also the stage. Huh? So you have to try it. Huh? Gradually, religion is being and becoming. Swamiji says that idea I am believing, idea I believe in, I try to grasp it. Ultimately, my goal, I'll say that I have achieved the goal when I myself become the I, and I have reached the idea. I and the idea becomes one.
Swami, how do I become more consistent, absolutely consistent in meditation?
No shortcut, you have to try. You have to try it. Every day you have to try. And never to lose heart. Patience, perseverance, all these things are required. Never to lose heart. And you have to check the quality of meditation today you are having with the quality of meditation you had yesterday. Just as a song star, practices. More I'll do, a player. How much they strive. Every day they practice. Never happy. Maybe others are praising, but he is not happy with himself. That attitude should be there. Discontent for growth.
Swami, from your experience like serving Swami Lokeshwarananda, can you share some reminiscences of Swami? Thank you.
Reminiscences. Very loving he was. Very loving. And whenever I think of his love, I also feel that he would be very respectful to all. Though I am very junior, I used to feel that he is having respect for me also. This is a uniqueness about him. And he will consult everybody. Even the boy who used to serve him, he would consult him. If he would write any article, the typist, who might not have any idea about the content of the writing, but he would ask him or her also, how did you like my writing? The language is okay. he would always try that the language be simpler and simpler and simpler. That was he cannot be difficult to anybody. He would be always trying to be easy and simple to everybody. And always smiling, even in the face of very odd situation, he will be able to keep his calm. This we have noticed. And he has achieved whatever he has achieved mainly by work and helping others. He would sometimes go out of his way even to help others, and he would forget all about it. But he used to meditate also regularly. And probably he would be meditating very deeply. Another sannyasi who is junior to me by 2 or 3 years, both of them, he used to accompany Maharaj. He was the Sevak of Maharaj. So they went somewhere in Madhya Pradesh, in India. So they are both put in the same room, and it was very hot that day. And the fan, etc., was not, no air condition was there. So he could not sleep, he told me. Even immediately after returning from that place, that Sevak Sannyasi, he told me this. So very hot, so he could not, the Sevak also could not sleep at night. So he got up and he saw, this is all dark, only light is coming from outside. Maharaj is engrossed in meditation. And Maharaj was a very fair complexion. And suddenly, looking at Maharaj, he got startled. He found that here in chest, as if blood is smeared there. So the whole mind perhaps has come here. I cannot say the depth of his meditation, but this is something rare. He felt and he shared with me. Shubhrata Sandarshananda, he is now at Narendrapur. So he said, that as if somebody has sprayed some red color on his chest. He's absorbed. So hot it is that brahmachari, sadhu could not sleep, and Maharaj is seated. So, you see, as our stalwart Daddy disciple used to say, that surely you have to serve, but you have to meditate also. Meditation and service. Meditate and service, as Raja Maharaj said. I think he followed that. And also, he had vision of Holy Mother and others also. That also he has said to me. He went to Jairambati. I also accompanied him, but Holy Mother did not come before me. So during Mongol Arati, after Mongol Arati, he was circumambulating. And immediately after that, we had to leave. So he suddenly saw Mother is standing before him. So he's looking at Mother, just as he said it. He said it just 7 or 10 days before his passing away. He said, I'm looking at Mother. I'm thinking, if this Mother, is this Mother? Yes, it is Mother. Then you see, as he narrated to me, Mother is Mahamaya. So he cast his Maya on me. Suddenly this thought crossed my mind that it is not good, it is not proper to look at a woman for such a long time. So I cast my glance downward and immediately I saw Mother was not there. I am so unfortunate, I did not touch Mother's feet. Then Horipada was coming from that day. Horipada means the head of Jairambati Center, who was his cousin. I immediately asked Horipada, did you see someone, a lady, to go that direction? He said, no. He said this. And that day itself he said this. He was initiated by Mahapurush Maharaj, Swami Shivanandaji. That day he said that for long I had a desire that I would have a mantra from Holy Mother. Then when I was at Narendrapur, I saw one day in dream that I am carrying down Mother, holding her in my arms like this, down the stairs in the Swamiji's room, in the backside. Then I asked Maharajji, why are you carrying mother in your arms. Well, that is not very clear in the dream. Maybe mother is very dear to me, so I am not letting mother climb down. Or maybe mother is unwell, that is I am doing this, that is why I am doing this. At that time, mother's mouth was near my ear, and then mother uttered a mantra into my ears. I repeat the mantra given by Mahapurush Maharaj, as well as the mantra I received from Holy Mother. This. He was all love. He was all love and all heart for others. All heart for others.
Those are very touching reminiscences, Maharaj. Perhaps Swami Tyagananda could share a reminiscence about Swami Sarvagatananji or another senior monk you had served.
Well, recently we published a book titled Being Spiritual, Staying Practical. That's a record of the conversation Swami Sarvagatanandaji had with two of his disciples and others. So I would recommend that if you get a chance to get a copy either in the library or in the bookstore, to get a copy, because it's amazing. Because the general idea is that the more spiritual people get, the more otherworldly they get. They tend to neglect their duties and responsibilities in this life. And one of the characteristics of Swami Sarvagatanandaji was he showed how it's possible to be intensely spiritual and yet hold on to what we generally kind of understand as being practical. And so take a hold of that book, see, and then toward the end of the book there is a short biography which has some very fascinating incidents from his life, of how he walked almost 1,000 miles from Bombay to Haridwar. That is how his monastic life began, and the kind of experiences he had. So rather than me kind of condensing something in 30 seconds, I think it might be better if you get hold of the book. Yeah, it was a great blessing. I got a chance to be with him for almost 10 years. And if you, and whenever you get a chance to be in the company, or for however long you can, of any person you trust who is holy, who is spiritual, don't miss that chance, because holy company plays a big role in our own spiritual progress. Thank you. Yeah.
Namaskar, Maharaj. Both Swami Tyagananda, I know you had also done the lessons on Karma Yoga through Vedanta Society in San Diego, and Maharaj to you too. You know, this morning I was having a conversation with my sister, she's been in private practice, and now things are such that she has to give up and go in with a hospital. And she was telling me, and I know that she didn't want to work for the hospital, because her fear initially was, I know here I give 20 minutes, I can give 30 minutes to a patient, and the hospital will tell me I have to finish up in 10 minutes. And I really don't want to do that. And I had just heard somewhere, one of the Swamis had said, so all I told her was, I said, at this point, you just say, okay, it's the hospital, but I had read somewhere, and I said a Swami had said that every time before you write a prescription, just chant your japa one time and say, if it's 10 minutes, it's okay. That's the 10 minutes that you have. But is there anything else that I can share with her in terms of this Karma Yoga thing, how she can feel at peace with moving to a situation where she thinks that's not how she should do it?
Service in a shorter time.
Why not you say? He wants to be with the patient for a longer time. She feels that she cannot do justice to each patient during a short time. And what to do? She is bound by the rules of the karma. What somebody suggested that is good, she can pray for that patient. And in the short period, she should try his best, and she can pray. In this situation, she cannot do anything. Though she is not satisfied, and she may feel that I would have been able to do real good to the patient if I would have got more time. For that, she is not responsible. For that, she is not responsible. But surely she would be sad at heart. So to pray to Thakur, pray to Almighty that I can come to a favorable situation so that I can serve the patients to my heart's content, so that real good is delivered to each patient.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, so I think that's the last question. And Swami will have to go. So please all come for prasad. Don't go away without prasad. And Swami will also be there to chant. Okay? And thanks Swamis. And particularly this Lokesharanandaji's things is touched in our heart so much. Always memories of great souls are always very profound, and it impacts our life more than other things. And both ways. And as you said about Sarvagatanandaji, it's a wonderful person. We met many times, and he was like a child. I used to go, sometimes I used to go to Sarvagatananda Swami, not telling him anything. And suddenly I appear and pranam. Hey, you have come, it's just a surprise. How could, as if such a simple and loving, caring thing, it comes out of the spirituality. Anyhow, thank you all for coming, and thank the Swamis for giving us this wonderful discussion and talks and practical point. Spirituality, practical spirituality. That's the point. Thank you all. And please come for our prasad. Okay, Swami.